Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Speed Street Podcast. I am in a pod in a simulator area room that is a very high-tech and secret Chevrolet land. But this is where I record podcasts now, apparently. This is 2 weeks in a row where I've been in a Chevy pod, and I appreciate just a little bit. My teammate Stingray Rob is in on the simulator right now. I was in already this morning. I took a break to do our interview for the show this week and do the Speed Street Podcast. And here we are. So no racing of IndyCars to discuss from the weekend. Darn it. What a shame. But there is only one more Sunday until our Sunday to go racing again. So very, very excited about that. Chase, we have a great interview this week. We got Christian Lundgaard. We just talked to Christian. He was in a Starbucks, and we appreciate him making the effort. He's on his way down to Barber for the IndyCar test down in Alabama, which obviously we are not doing. And we'll explain a little bit about that. But Chase, how are you feeling this week?
We're back at the International Chase Station. Nice to have not a hotel room background.
There you go.
So happy to be back. My voice is slowly coming back from the roller coaster yelling and screaming. And yeah, we had some forms of racing this weekend, I would say.
Yes, we did.
Three-peat guy out there doing a little bit of running. But other than that, very much ready for the open wheel thrills to be back on the track. It's all I've been thinking about. Literally put a post out the other night, just pondering on the couch, just like how do we get Dodge, Toyota, every manufacturer in the world to IndyCar? I'm just thinking a lot these days. I'm staying in the dome. We're trying to make big moves, you know.
A lot of people wish that we had the answer to that and we could figure that out. That's definitely the major question right now. But yeah, there's been, a few things happening in the motorsport world when it comes to news. Over the weekend as well, we had Supercross in Indianapolis, which was really cool. So a lot of the drivers, a lot of us went to the race thanks to Supercross. Supercross had us out there. A lot of the IndyCar guys, a lot of the Indy NXT drivers as well. Just a cool experience to get involved in that world. Supercross is something I've been going to since I was a kid in Indianapolis. It's always been fun to watch. So great to have that kind of interaction and just get out there and do something. And another big motor racing news item, the official announcement of the Cadillac Formula One team, which that's a big one. It also made me want to watch the new season of Drive to Survive. I literally spent the weekend binge watching Drive to Survive because I enjoyed it. I really do. I think it's a great show. I know we give it some, we don't ever throw shade at it, but there is a lot of Formula One fans that have purely based their Formula One fanhood off of this show and the drama that is sometimes manufactured, but it is a great program. Like, I think even if you do manufacture a little bit, you completely put radio messages in the wrong place. I'm sorry, but like, you got to make motorsport look cool sometimes. Like there's the raw appreciation for what we're doing out there and like seeing it lap by lap and strategies and radio. But like, there's also a story to tell that you can use, these incredible TV cameras and directors and producers to create a great story, make people want to watch the raw, real laps as well. So I think that was really cool. But honestly, super pumped for Cadillac and GM. Even in the simulator room here at the Chevy Performance Center, there's an F1 schedule now on the wall. We know that they're going to be doing a lot of work on the F1 side here as well. So cool for Dan Tauris. The TWG group, the folks that are, basically a lot of the folks that were involved in this, the Andretti Global Formula One team. I mean, it's essentially very similar. A lot of the same people involved. So really happy for those groups. I think this is something that is huge for American motorsport. I think it's huge for American business. I think it's huge for, obviously Cadillac. But I certainly hope that we see a driver that we're all very familiar with in that team. It was very interesting to see the Formula One social accounts put up, who do you think the drivers are going to be? And a lot of drivers that, again, I'm not really sure why you'd put someone like Sergio Perez in there, Checo. He does have a lot of experience in Red Bull, but I don't know if I see that one. Daniel Ricciardo was on the list, but then you saw a couple guys like Valtteri Bottas, and then guess what? Alex Palou and Colton Herta were on that list too. So I like that. I like to see that. I think Colton Herta has a way better chance of being in that situation. I'm a Cadillac Formula One fan. Now I'm going to be supporting them because I love the people that are involved there. I think that truly, truly is an American team, unlike the Haas operation. But I love to see. I just can't wait to see where this is going. Honestly, I think it's great for our sport, and it's got to be exciting. Chase, I mean, even you. I mean, you're not a big Formula One guy, but I mean, we're Cadillac people now. It feels like we're GM guys.
Yeah, my grandma drove a Cadillac, so
there you go.
I've got to support. I got to support the team, and I think we talked about that. A little bit later in 2024, whenever the IndyCar season ended, I was like, you know what? If this is official, I'm all in. I saw the promo that they released where they had like the generations, the cars that were coming through. That was really neat. So, yeah, I mean, do I particularly like the thought of Colton or Alex leaving IndyCar? Not really.
Yep, that's true.
I think it would be great for their career if that's what they want for their career? Hell yeah, we're all in on it. And it is just cool to see their faces on those posts, though, because I know it got a lot of people talking. And I saw that, that there were a few people that memed kind of the video a little bit, had some fun with it. But overall, it's just nice to have a team that I feel like is rooted in America. I've heard the rumors about they're looking to build something in Charlotte for F1 that has to probably do something with this Cadillac team. So interesting to hear you talking about the fact that they may be doing some work there where you're at now. But as of this moment, there's really no other like concrete factual news that you know of about this program, correct?
Oh no, I mean there's a lot that's been out there. I mean they've already built a ton of stuff. They've got they've got their bases set. So they put in a lot of work. They've hired a lot of good people, and that's going to be cool. So I think it's a long process, but to be on the grid in 2026, I mean that'll be here in no time. So I think that's going to be really fun to see. And just good for American motorsport fans. I think it's funny to see how angry European F1 Twitter gets when they put up graphics of Colton or Alex being in there, because people just have literally no respect or any care for anything other than Formula One. They're like, that's not even possible. Wow, they get so angry. It's awesome to see. I love it. It's my favorite thing to see because they truly have no idea.
European mind can't comprehend.
They truly don't know enough about motorsport in general to be making opinions like that. But hey, I love the battle. The battle is going to be hilarious, and the war on the internet, which I wish we had less of because there's no point in it. But it's going to be raging for the next.
Seems like we're winning.
It'd be hilarious. Yeah. All those folks as well just can't wait to see Cadillac have like a rough first day. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, we can't wait for this. So it'll be funny to see how it plays out. But I'm happy for American motorsport in general. I think that's really, really cool. And then we'll obviously be tuned in to see how that goes. But yeah, what else is happening? So we saw Catherine Legg make her debut in the NASCAR Cup Series over the weekend. Tough. That was a tough situation. And I know, having done a cup race with zero prior experience, it's definitely a challenge, but I definitely wish that would have gone slightly better for her. That was a tough situation, tough challenge. And to be with a team, again, that's, not necessarily known for success, that's challenging. But hey, she did it. She got out there. And I think there's a lot of opinions on that I saw on the internet that are like, oh my gosh, this is just rough. But I like Catherine a lot. I think she's a very talented driver. And that's a tough game to get into. Very tough game, because I literally know how tough it is.
And shout out to BJ McLeod too, the Affliction King. He was there trying to guide the way.
Yep. Yeah, the 78 team. I do like BJ a lot. He's a good guy, good owner. That's a good group over there. But yeah, tough spot for her overall. I'm not even going to dive too deep into that, because that'll start a conversation that just gets dangerous real quick. So we're gonna stay away. I like Catherine a lot, and I think she's very, very talented. And I know Cup racing is very difficult. So that's what we got. A lot of promotions for Joseph Newgarden being down at SSXSW.
What's he doing down there, Connor?
I will never be able to say those letters all together in Austin, Texas, but have heard a lot about it. Train with Joseph Newgarden. Get your workout on. That's apparently what Joseph is going to be doing down there. I don't know too many details about it, but I know Joseph is an elite athlete, and he's going to make some people look silly down there. So good for us for doing promos. We love to see that. But yeah, that's very exciting. And then, of course, we are actually recording this show on a Monday because we've got some things going on tomorrow, and I'll be in the simulator as well. But there is IndyCar testing happening this week. So there are about 18 cars, I think Christian Lundgaard mentions, that will be down running at the Barber Motorsport circuit down in Alabama. Now, we are not going there's basically 11 cars that I believe are not testing or that are also testing somewhere else. So our test day is going to be at the Indy GP circuit after the thermal race. So you'll see, I believe it's 2 JHR cars, the 3 Ganassi cars, and the coin cars maybe, and then one other car, I believe, testing at the Indy GP circuit after thermal. It's the Thursday after thermal. So we'll be out there using our test day there. A lot of the other folks are testing at Barber. It's just a difference in opinion on where we think we need to improve and what we can improve on. Obviously, the majority of the cars, want to get on track before thermal again, which is completely makes sense. But for us, the way we saw it and the way we were able to make things happen, we've got some cars on the shaker rig this week, and then we're going to be in the wind tunnel as well. So we've got some things that we're also focused on for development in other areas. So we've got to be able to do that and also test. So that's why our schedule works out the way it does. But there'll be some results to look at, I'm sure, this week, and we will not be able to evaluate them, sadly. But it'll be cool to see what the Barber test looks like, what people are doing down there, and just more photos, more content from IndyCar. That's what we need. We just need more of that stuff.
Absolutely.
Right, Chase?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm very
That's
interested
near you, too.
to
That's
see.
down south. The weather looks good tomorrow for the test.
It does. I mean, we're down here. It's nice and sunny outside. All the rain got out of the way last week, so I feel like they'll be able to pull some good data points away from there. And I mean, what is not to love about having a nice couple of days down at Barber with the craziest statues known to man to look at? Also, just basically a fine golf course of a racetrack. We'll put it that way. It's like the golf course of racetracks.
I agree.
It's a nice spot, and you got a nice Bass Pro hidden in the woods. Still want to do some stuff there this year. I know that I'm excited to get to Barber. Barber's one of my favorite races, even though a lot of people have a lot of mixed opinions on the racing there. I personally just enjoy the environment. I think it's a great spot. So I have spoke to a couple of guys that are going to be going down here this weekend. I've even contemplated of just showing up and
at
just
the
seeing
test?
what's going on. Yeah, at the test.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, I've contemplated on, you know me, I'm turning more and more into a big CSV file guy these days. So liking to look at the data and seeing what we can pull from it, man. I mean, it's fascinating. I feel like that part of it for me is getting more and more fun to pay attention to and learning more about the ins and outs and what's really going on in the back end with the cars, man. So
yeah,
it's I love me a good. I'm definitely a stat nerd these days. I'll put it that way.
For sure. And before we get to Christian Lundgaard as well, I had a great chat with Will Buxton, obviously from the Fox team, our Fox broadcaster, just this morning. And I also watched the race on YouTube. I watched the Fox race on YouTube just to kind of get a feel for what the race looked like commentary wise, what it looked like graphics wise. And I think there are a lot of people asking a lot of questions and wanting a few more things. And from knowing what was going on, I think there in the background, there will be a lot more coming. There will be a lot more coming, a lot more data, a lot more information that you're wanting to see. Talking to Will Buxton this morning, there were a lot of things that I think were technical communication issues that weren't necessarily feeding the broadcast what they needed. So I think all those, again, this is a rookie season for Fox, right? Like there's going to be a lot of things that when they showed up, they were probably a little bit different than what they thought. So we got to give them some time. I think from what Will was saying to me and what I think we can expect, don't fret after round one. I think there's going to be a lot more stuff, a lot more cool things for all sessions, but most importantly, qualifying and the race when it comes to tire graphics, when it comes to overtake situations, when it comes to hybrid usage. So I think Fox was doing a lot of work. They did a lot of research. They've been figuring some things out. So I think when it comes to the next race, when it comes to thermal, we're going to see a much different viewership package, which again can only be better. So that made me excited. It was cool to hear from Will and kind of hear what they were dealing with and what we can expect going forward. So just stay strapped in. It's going to be an amazing, I think, season with Fox. And I don't know if you saw this, Chase, but there was an NHRA drag racer who was very upset about the fact that Fox was calling IndyCar the fastest racing on Earth.
Oh, wow.
Very upset. Yeah.
I'm ready.
I don't know. Well, you're going to have to look up and see the comment, but he had some very terrible things to say about Fox, which I don't understand at all because I really respect the NHRA. And yes, they are going 340 miles an hour, which is the craziest thing ever. And feel free to debate with me on this, but I feel like it's a completely different demographic. I think circuit racing compared to just drag racing is almost it's a completely different world. And so I don't know why there's so much of a battle. I feel like there's just got to be, we respect the heck out of drag racing, but it's not even I don't even believe it's almost, I don't even think we should be fighting each other. I don't know why that happens. What do you think?
Connor, I'll put it this way. I think this is just it's a tidbit of jealousy. I'll put it that way.
It is. Yeah.
And if I want to go, have me a nice day watching dudes take a straight. I mean, I'll head out and I'll check it out. But I've done that. I've watched it. I've seen kind of like the fan base there. It is a very different crowd. There is something about, tweaking a vehicle to just go straight and to see who's going to come out, ahead of the other guy. For me, there's a lot more to racing that I want to watch. There's a lot more things to pay attention to when you have a long period of time, a whole lot of cars competing at the same time. There's a little bit of a different level of excitement than that, or just having this large alcohol smell released into the air. And I may be being a bit, cheeky with the comments there, but I just feel ultimately that this was IndyCar's time. This is IndyCar's place to shine. And, if you really have a great product that you really believe in and your fan base is behind that, eventually you'll get your time as well. I just think that right now enough people are starting to really notice that, yeah, IndyCar is kind of the fastest racing on Earth, and we're just going to kind of stick with that. So, I mean,
you say it like it's, you can argue details all you want. Like, there's no time for that. Like, if we're going to get that angry about catchphrase, well, now, the one thing we can get angry about is like literally the trademarked phrases that Formula One tries to take from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the greatest spectacle in racing. That's literally a trademarked phrase. So that is something that we will go to war over because that's a trademark. This is literally just a fun thing to say, like the fastest racing on Earth. Yeah, that's not a trade. It shouldn't be a battle. I try to go to the U.S. Nationals every year. I think it's incredible what they're doing, the mechanics of what they're doing, the ability to build engines and just go 1,000,000 miles an hour in 3 seconds. It's really cool. But I don't think it's so different to like circuit racing into what we're doing that I don't know why. I just don't know why this driver was so upset about it. Because it's not the same type of racing. It's just not it. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe NHRA will be upset with me, but I respect the heck out of the NHRA. I have a lot of friends in the NHRA. And obviously Graham Rahal, he's very close to the NHRA families as well.
Shout out to my dog Ron Capps, by the way.
Yeah, and Ron Capps, great racer. I mean, we love seeing Ron Capps get into a bunch of different things, right? But I still think that it's just so different that I don't know why he would be so angry with their own TV partner, which Fox, again, is already an NHRA partner. Yeah, I was sad to see that, but boy, did it create some internet disturbances. So again, whatever people want to get, whatever people want to say to rouse some feathers up a little bit. I still think it's just a completely different world, but it was interesting to see the reactions to that. Very interesting to see. I don't know why people get so mad. It's like, hey, you know what? People say all kinds of hilarious things for promotion all the time. So I don't, and realistically, there are no other racing cars doing 240 miles an hour side by side on a racetrack where we're doing laps. So it is the only racing series like that.
Let's put 8 funny cars on an oval. We'll see what happens.
That would be it. Maybe. Hey, that would be a wild situation.
Yeah, maybe beef top up fuel on the oval, dude. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah. So anyway, I hope if you're NHRA Twitter, let's not get mad at each other. Let's try to understand that again. Hopefully, circuit racing is kind of trying to rise on their own, on their own ship there. And NHRA has been around a long time and is going to be around for forever because people love trying to go as fast as they can in a quarter mile. So
take it straight.
That's great. Yeah. So anyway, let's get to our interview with Christian Lundgaard. I felt like it was probably good to just address some of those things because I thought it was funny on the internet. So let's get to Christian Lundgaard. Great interview with the young McLaren superstar in the making, maybe as well. And some great things you'll hear from him. So with that, Christian Lundgaard. Ladies and gentlemen, this week on the Speed Street Podcast, we have a very talented driver who has a new home this year. He's got a new suit to wear. He's got very fancy clothing. The brightest color in the paddock, the papaya colors. Christian Lundgaard, the man who drives the number 7 for the Arrow McLaren Formula One team / IndyCar team / McLaren / Zach Brown's Palace. Christian, welcome to the show. I appreciate you doing this. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you, Connor. It's been a while. Last time I was on here, I was a substitute for someone who didn't show up.
That's true. Yes.
Like 3 years ago.
This time you're the real deal. You look like a mystical warrior with your Zoom background or your Riverside background, what you got going on right now. So I love it. You're currently, so tell us where you're headed right now. There's an IndyCar test this week. That some people might know about. A lot of cars running, not all cars. I'm at the stim still. Everyone can tell that I'm in a weird little booth where people hide out in the sim land. But tell us about the test coming up here and where it is.
Yeah, we're going to Barber, in Alabama for the first, I'd say, real test. Obviously, we all tested at Sebring the week before St. Pete's. But I don't really call that a real test. That was just driving around in circles for 2 hot days. So going down now, which would obviously be nice. It's the first time I drive the car on the road course with a new team. So we're all pretty excited. We found some stuff in Sebring that's, the original package didn't really fit me that well. And some small changes kind of put it into the window for me. So, we're going to try to see what works for me on a road course. Because obviously we got Thermal coming up next, and then Long Beach, and then Barber, Indy GP, and then we'll all know how the season just suddenly gets started from there on.
So do you guys think, and I think most people would agree with this, this will help you for not only obviously the Barber races coming up, but for you're hoping Thermal as well?
Yes, no, for sure. I think Thermal, I've always been fast. I've always liked the track. It's a very high commitment track at the end of the day, and so is Thermal. It's Barber. Sorry, I think Barber is one of the tracks that are more old school. There is high risk, high reward. There is a big consequence of making a mistake, and I like those kind of tracks. And at Thermal, it's not even gravel. It's just dirt. You go off and then no one can see anything for around the entire track because it's dust in the air.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about St. Pete too, right? First weekend out with the new team. Obviously, you have Pato as your teammate who was at the front of the championship last year, race winner, multi-race winner. And then Nolan Siegel, who's obviously a young buck who's coming onto the scene pretty strong. What was it like working with both of those guys in weekend one, and what are the team vibes like this year? Are we feeling good? Is it a good environment with everyone there?
I definitely think so. I think, I guess we all know Pato, right? Pato is Pato. I thought it was nice to work with him in a different environment where, just hanging out outside of the track or having a conversation about track evolution or bumps on the track or etc. Right? But actually having to talk car details, car setup with him, and kind of pick his brain on that. Nolan is really talented. He has a tremendous amount of potential, and he's going to push us, I think, more than we expect.
Oh wow!
Yeah, which is really nice. I think looking at the weekend in St. Pete, I think he was right there. Obviously got taken out before the race even began. So looking back at the weekend, he did a really good job. I mean, he was P2 and Q1 in qualifying. He was right there on pace and made a mistake in Q2, which cost him going into the past six. But you know how it is, Carter. It's ruthless. If you make that small little mistake, you're out, and your weekend is a hell of a lot tougher.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was definitely tough for young Nolan, but it's cool to hear that, honestly. I think not a lot of us really know what to expect out of Nolan yet because he hasn't even had that full season kind of with one operation, to get into it. So I'm very, very excited to see that. When you look back at your race, obviously pretty solid. I mean, you were leading at one. Well, yeah, I mean, leading at one point, but at the front of the field, in the right places, just not quite enough to get on the podium and fight with the Ganassi cars and Joseph. But what overall impressions of the first weekend out? You pretty happy with it for the championship fight?
Harry, I think if you would have told me 6 months ago that, going into St. Pete, I would be the best qualifying McLaren car and the best finishing McLaren car, I would have shaken your hand and run away in a hurry, just being excited over that. But I think overall we did a good job all weekend. We built it up. We struggled a little bit in practice one, just with balance, and that comes with time. Practice two, we were there, and I told the team as soon as qualifying comes around, it's a different commitment level. You'll see a different Christian, and they did. I mean, we got into the past six. We were on a lap to go P3 in qualifying, which I messed up, which is the last lap of fast six. But at the end of the day, the worst case scenario is you're sixth, right? I mean, if you make a mistake in the past six, the worst case is you're sixth. So that's where you take the most risk. But I think from a strategy perspective, we were the only car on the entire field trying to make a two-stop lit. And looking back at it now, I don't disagree with any of the decision that we made. We bailed on the two-stopper after 2 laps from the Oats at the end of the race. And in hindsight, we should have pushed a lot more in the second stint and at least utilized the ultimate tires in that third stint, which we didn't do. So we bled a lot of lap time there, which at the end of the day really cost us Felix. I think we could have been ahead of Ericsson as well if we would have raced the race a little different, just committed to a 3-stopper. But in hindsight, if I look back at the weekend and we sacrificed 3 positions from where we started to maybe being the only car that could make the 2-stopper work, right? So sacrificing those 3 positions for potentially winning the race at the Yellow Fell as a first race, but still being safe, I think that was a good start for the 7 crew. And obviously we're coming up to tracks that I absolutely love. And obviously the team's been fast prior, so I don't see any reason why we can't be very competitive this year.
Love to hear that. Chase, go ahead.
Yeah, Christian, I think one big question that I know I have and other people are interested in right now is the dynamic between the McLaren IndyCar program and the McLaren F1 program. Obviously, there's a lot that's happening over there with Zach. How is some of that information, or is any of that information from that F1 side kind of coming over to you guys in the IndyCar paddock? How are you guys working together, if at all, and learning from each other in the aspect of just an overall open wheel performance?
Yeah, I mean, we have so much information, right? It's considering it's a relatively new team. I mean, Aaron McLaren didn't really exist until I guess 6 years ago.
Right.
Obviously, it was Smith Peterson before, but coming in and to having the information that we have now and the tools that we have is, I haven't been a part of the process, but they have so much information that the F1 teams have and so many tools that the F1 teams have. And that's where I really saw the difference coming from Rail where McLaren is. I have so much information that I didn't have before. And it's a completely different way of looking at things, and it simplifies things at the end of the day. Even though that there's so much information, it simplifies things. And we have so many people looking at so many different things that if you have a question, someone will know the answer. It's never an unknown. I feel like we always we approach something with a clear answer beforehand, and I'm not used to that. Obviously, it's nice to see what the F1 team did from 2 years ago to winning the constructors last year. It's kind of funny because me and Oscar Piastri were both Alpine junior drivers, academy drivers for X amount of years. We basically shared a flat in Oxford, and now seeing that we're both McLaren drivers, but two different parts of the world, it's kind of fun to really see.
That is awesome. That's actually something that I did not know. So, fun fact. You guys still stay in touch?
Sometimes, not frequently. I mean, you know how it is.
Yep.
Drivers, they're everywhere at all times. They get pulled in every direction.
A lot of roaming charges on the phone.
Oh yeah.
Likely.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny. Kyle Collette was actually one of 4 people, including myself, that we were all living together. And now he's over here too, and it's a small world.
That is indeed. Not many race seats available, so you got to find your place. I respect that. Tell us a little bit about what you thought about the new tire allocation rules. Obviously, that was this thing. Like that was, hey, so pick when to use your greens, pick when to use your primes. It's up to you. Everyone thought, oh, no one's going to use the alternates, and then some people had to, but they didn't last. So what do you think about it this year? You like it?
Yes and no. I think we've had one example, right? You know how data works. You need multiple data points to really come to a conclusion of a trend, right? And we have one. So I think you can't judge it on. Obviously, I think we all have our opinions on how the race panned out, how it all fell. But I think I don't like seeing a tire that only lasts one lap. I think
True.
I understand the perspective where I guess Firestone and IndyCar is coming from, trying to make a bigger difference. But the problem is the primary tires were so hard last year to be safe with the hybrid, which I understand. I mean, that's, in my opinion, completely reasonable. But to make a bigger split, I don't really understand. Like, it's make a tire that at least degradation is fine. But don't like one lap and then you drop 4/10. You can't do that. And then for the tires not really to last a 10-lap stint when you need to do 30 laps. If it's a tire that lasts 20 laps and some drivers can make it last that extra 10 laps because of a yellow or whatever, or the car is just good on that set of tires, I mean, that's great. But I think having to do a full stint of 30 laps in St. Petersburg on a tire that ideally really didn't do more than 15 laps at most on any car throughout the field in the race. Kind of hurts it a little bit because you see the alt start cars that pitted on the first lap. It's a straightforward primaries from them there. After that, I mean, even if they're using a scuffed or a used set of primes, it doesn't really hurt them because that's going to be better regardless.
It hurt me. Hand up. I scuffed primes bad. That's my fault. That's on us.
But you know what I'm saying. It's I feel like the split is way too big, and I think for St. Pete it was too big. We might go to Long Beach and Detroit, and it's completely different. I mean, at this point, we don't really know, right? I think they're bringing a harder compound to the road courses as well.
Is that right?
Primaries. I think so, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. But, hey, it's the same for all of it.
Yes. And I think I agree with you, though, that if it needs to be that window of operation where if you need to make it 30 laps, and you can definitely do 20, but those last 10 are going to be difficult, that I think is more the separator rather than like, these things last 10 maybe, and there's no way they're going to get to 30. Well, then the strategy kind of has already been planned for you. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
And I think some people wanted to gamble, like some people, because we didn't know anything about this green tire really other than just the warm-up.
Yeah.
But clearly the information led to what everyone assumed is like, yeah, these tires aren't going to last. So,
yeah.
I'm very curious. Yeah.
What was interesting was in qualifying, getting them to work in the Class 6 was actually relatively easy. Like, it wasn't that big of a drop-off. Obviously, McLaughlin threw down a banger of a lap of, I guess, which is like 3/10 faster than anybody else at that time. But you never really matched that after, other than, obviously, me and Dixon didn't have new tires going into the Class 6, so using a used set and, being a 10th off, being P2, I think pretty good, specifically knowing what the drop-off was. Well, on a race, then it was never going to work, so I mean, I think it's very easy for all of us at this point, to point fingers at Firestone, but at the end of the day, they reached their objective, which was creating a bigger split between the compounds, which, I mean, we can't argue against it, and I think it's also very important for all of us to remember that we have one data point, we have one race.
Yep.
And there's a lot more to come. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they can do in Long Beach, and I think then we will all have a much clearer conclusion on what the performance of the tire is. So they screwed some and they helped some others. I mean, that's just how it always goes.
That's true. That's just motorsport. Chase, go ahead.
Yeah, so off the track, personality-wise, I know like you and Pato, we know Nolan as well, but you and Pato seem to kind of have some big personality. If I'm not mistaken, you wore a blonde wig at Media Day. Is that right? Can you tell me a little bit about why you did that and the story behind it?
So we all know how Georgina fell off the bridge at Barber last year.
Yes.
We were doing some stuff with Georgina. Okay, that really sounds wrong. We were doing some. I can't even say that either.
Doing some activities, maybe some workshop.
No, we were
recreational time. We were doing some reasonable content filming for Barber, which obviously includes a Georgina, because we all know that reference after last year, I guess.
Yes.
And then her head fell off.
Yikes!
So the wig fell off. So I was like, okay, let me try that. And then everybody was like, yeah, you should just keep that on. So I kept it on for 20 minutes.
Nice. Did you think to
I
do
might
like
I might have a bunch of hair diseases now. I don't know.
Nah, I doubt that. I feel like you should have done it for like, you know how a lot of guys will like shave a mustache or they'll do something crazy for like their year-long photo. I was hoping you were going to leave the wig on for that.
Your hard card photo, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've tried the mustache one. I'm not going to go down that path yet.
You got to try.
Hey, Louis Foster is trying his mustache.
I know.
Number one in the power rankings.
but at the end of the day, he has the genes for it. I don't. I mean, it what I got to is as much as I'm gonna get.
Yeah,
I think
I'm
it
not
looked
gonna lie.
good.
I think yours definitely looked a little creepier than his. I will say.
Yes.
I think that's what that's my personal opinion.
It was like a pencil stash, like you had like a thin one. It was very thin.
There was just no mass.
You just gotta.
It was
Gotta
like
get you some jojoba
four
oil.
hairs in total. That was it.
We're gonna get you jojoba. Some jojoba oil that'll fix it. That'll fix the problem.
Christian, what are your biggest goals this year? I think maybe if looking at it from the outside, I assume ovals are probably a big goal and like, hey, we want to be consistently better there because you're new to ovals still. Obviously, you're a young fella, did not have any oval racing history in your past. Is that something that's a big goal for this year? Or what other goals have you kind of set for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think ovals is the obvious one, right? But I think the one goal I set before the season started, and really when I knew I was coming to our McLaren, was I don't really care about going into the first season saying, "Oh, I'm going to win this and that at races. Oh, I'm going to do this and that," because it's not realistic. We're never going to if that's the mentality, because you're going to do everything you can, and then you're going to do something stupid. So for me, it's really picking out the high risk, high reward situations and being consistent. My ultimate goal of the year is just to be competitive at every race, to have a chance. And you see that in St. Pete. We qualified well. We put ourselves in a position in the race. Okay, we're going to lose 3 positions doing this strategy, but we had the possibility of winning the race if the strategy fell our way. And we raced it very safe. We lost the 3 positions, but at the end of the day, it helped all the old starters, right? So we didn't have a choice at that point. We had to keep a simple race. We got to lead the race. The first race of the season, the first race with Aaron McLaren, we led a race. I mean, what's not really to like, right? We were competitive, and that's really all I can ask for. As long as we're all on the same page on the 7 car, and all 3 cars are competitive, and especially the 7 car, and we can fight for podiums and wins. If it happens, great. Obviously, you want to win championships doing that. So, but ovals is really it, and I think that's where the consistency from my side, obviously knowing that I'm in a car that would be competitive, is a little bit of a mental challenge in some way, because the past 3 years it's always been the same mentality: get the car home in one piece. Yeah, and of course it's still going to be now, but I'm actually hoping to be able to fight with people at the same time, and that just hasn't really been the case.
Let's talk a little bit about your golf game now. I want to get to the serious stuff. You've been focusing hard on golf and posting results recently on Instagram. Is that potentially the greatest side hobby to motorsport that there is out there right now? Are we feeling good about our golf swing?
We're feeling really good. I played yesterday, and I'm sure that's the reference that you're referring to.
Yes.
No, I've technically only broken 80 twice, and one of them was yesterday.
Nice.
On a course I'd never played before.
All right.
I both nines. I double bogeyed the first holes, so 1 and 10, and I bogeyed both 2 and 11. So if I just sold those out, I'm going to be in a much better position, right? But I had a chip in for eagle on hole 3, so that was kind of like the day going. Double on 1, bogey on 2, and then a chip in eagle on 3. So it's like, okay, now we're just 1 over.
Here we go.
It's a fun sport because you can take your time, but as a competitor, like I'm too competitive. Yeah. And once I pick up on something, it's all out down the street. But it's because my parents built a house on a golf course in Denmark, so that's basically where I grew up the second half of my life before moving abroad.
Oh, nice.
So I'd lived on a golf course for 5 years without ever touching a golf course.
Wow.
So my dad has always played, right? And I picked up golf when I came to America.
I remember.
Then I started playing, and it was terrible at first.
I saw. We all did
yeah.
this together. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I played Monday after St. Pete, and I played the worst golf I'd ever played. Nothing good. It was like the first time I played this year, and it just balls were flying left, right, backwards. Like, it was awful. And it was at Old Memorial in Florida. It's an amazing course. So it was actually kind of sad to end that way. So I needed redemption, and I got it yesterday. I felt like I played really well, played smart. I didn't try to kill the ball. I just laid up, made sure everything was going right, put myself in good position. So it's really just, being there, being competitive. I don't need to go and try and birdie every hole. Just put myself in a position where it's all great and we're fine. It's a little bit the same as racing, but it's funny because I almost have seen a round of golf as a season of IndyCar. Because, I mean, we have 17 races, there's 18 holes, right? If you go out and double bogey the first hole or bogey the first hole, I feel like it's so easy to go into the second hole, oh, I need a birdie to make up for it. And I feel like a lot of us really get stuck in that mentality throughout a season too, because it's bad and good momentum, right? So you have a bad weekend, you get taken out or whatever, you make a mistake, and then you try to make up for it the next time and you make another mistake. True. And it spirals. So I think it's always nice to use that as a little bit of a reference for yourself, just to make sure that you stay down to earth, that it's a long race. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
You're not wrong. I like a little golf guy chatter right there. I respect that.
And my girlfriend's actually playing a tournament right now. I want to see. She shot 3 under yesterday. She's keeping.
There you go.
This is a golf score. I need to see where she's at today.
Attentive boyfriend right here. This is respectful.
So there's actual tournaments happening right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's
warming up down south.
She had 6 birdies yesterday.
Woo! You got some competition.
Okay.
I beat her once on the back 9.
Okay.
Of TPC in Louisiana, where they play the Circuit Classic.
Yeah.
We were out there with one other guy, one of our friends, is around Halloween, and we were playing for money.
Oh, all right.
So it was each hole 20 up or down. So $20 up or down, whoever wins the hole. But so I basically have strokes on her because he's a +3 handicap, right? And I'm a 10 handicap. So I basically had strokes, but she was leading. I think she was $60 up going into the last hole. And I said double or nothing. I got in her head. Right?
Yeah.
She goes,
gambling Christian is here.
She goes, first ball, middle of the fairway. I'm like on the left side of the hill. And it's a long par 5. And then she tries to cut it over the water, shoots it in the water on the second shot.
Ooh.
So she goes up to where it crossed, hits it in the water again. And I'm like, this is fantastic. I'm actually going to beat her. So I beat her because she shot 3 balls in the water on the last hole.
Man, golf will really take advantage of it. That's a tough game. That's a tough mental battle.
I was proud. I
had no idea that you were this big into golf. I have to ask you, do you consider yourself more of a Callaway, a TaylorMade, or a Ping guy?
So I got Ping clubs.
Okay.
My girlfriend's sponsored by Callaway.
All right.
So she's got Callaway. I got fitted for mine in Indy. So that's nice. I actually just bought some new weights for the irons.
Oh.
Because I think I have too much weight on the toe of the club. So I'm going to try to mess about with that a little bit. See, it's like racing, man. Hey, fine-tuning that little car there.
You got to open that stance a little bit, man.
Yeah, I don't know how many golf experts that we're going to have listening to this, but if you are, I hope you've enjoyed this golf talk with the boys. That's what it's all about.
We need to get him a golf sponsor at IndyCar. Yeah. It's time to pull the big golfer sponsors into IndyCar now.
With a little bit of golf. Yeah. So, hey.
Yeah, Connor, we need to get out next week.
I'm ready. I'm playing on Wednesday.
We need to get out.
I'm playing on Wednesday, so I'm going to get
Where's my invite? Is that with Alex?
Well, you're not invited to this one because I got to warm up first. I got a warm-up game.
Is it with Alex?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll call Alex.
Okay, all right. Well, there's only
I've already spoken to him about it, so
there's 4 of us already, so it's gonna be tough to get a 5th, but we'll see.
Got to hit the putt.
We'll kick out. Yeah, no,
No, we can't kick out Detour season.
This is even the better part. I have a putting mat in my garage.
Oh,
there you guys see. I mean, he's removing all the obstacles for you, Connor.
Dialing it in.
So I built a gym in my garage. So like pre-weekends, post-weekends, like whenever I don't really want to go to the gym, I'll just work out at home. So I'll work out, I'll do a set, and I'll do 15 8-foot putts, and then I'll go back and forth. So I had a big upper body workout the other day, and I did 225 putts.
Jeez. Dude, that's some dedication. I respect that.
I only made 72% of them.
That's all right.
But I made more than 50%, and that's...
Hey, hang the banner.
That's fine.
Hang the banner for that
Big
one.
golf data, dude. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Christian, we appreciate you being here, man. I know you're on the way to the track or getting there soon. Thanks for being a part of the show, though. We got to hang out at Supercross, and I was like, I need someone to be on the show, and you volunteered.
Is that how it happened, Connor? Is that how it happened?
I think it was. Yeah, I said I needed someone. What do you think happened?
No, you did say I need someone for the show on Monday, and I said, hey, I've actually never been invited.
That's
Last
not
time
true.
I was a substitute for someone who didn't show up, and I had like a 5-minute warning. Like,
That's also true. That is true,
yes,
actually.
Yes.
Hey, but we're here now. We made it. We made it.
We did. I'm glad I was finally able to be a proper part of it.
It's a great program. We appreciate you being a part of it. We're all excited to see Barber test results and read into those aggressively. And then obviously tune into Fox for the thermal race. Everyone's excited. I can't wait to see what's going to happen there. Maybe 4 pit stops. Who knows? Maybe the tires wear enough to where we're doing 4 pit stops, maybe 5. We'll see. Should be fun.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Well, Christian, thank you, sir, and good luck the rest of the year. I hope I beat you, but I'm sure you'll be at the front quite a lot, and you'll get some trophies, which will be fun.
Thank you. And you too, Potter.
I'll see you around. Well, we appreciate Christian being with us. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. I was kind of talking to some of the drivers at Supercross, and I realized that everyone there was testing a Barber, so I was like, okay, this might not be the group to ask, but Christian volunteered. And we hadn't talked to Christian in a while. So I think with his move to McLaren, cool to get to chat with him. Real quick, before we get to the Ricky Treadway Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm wearing a Speed Street hat. You can own one yourself. You can own one. You can own Speed Street merch. It's on the Dirty Mo website. The link's probably down in our description of the video. It's on the internets. The Dirty Mo Media website has merch. I wore the Speed Street hoodie to Supercross. It's a fantastic hoodie. I'm not gonna lie. Chase, I'm sure you got some merch as well. How do you feel about it?
I got me a nice t-shirt. I'll be wearing it some, sporting it around. Got me a camouflage cap as well.
There you go.
So got me a Speed Street camouflage cap. And I know some hunters around the way, so you bet your bottom dollar that I'm gonna make sure they wear it when they go hunting.
Love that.
Also, I wanted to just note that big shout out to everybody that came up and mentioned that they were purchasing Speed Street products at the race. I met a guy at a mattress store yesterday. I went to go get a new mattress yesterday. He was an F1 fan. He's now an IndyCar fan. Now a listener of Speed Street. So shout out to him. He'll be getting some stuff. He got a sticker. So big shout out to teaching and learning. But yes, the merch game is strong and it's getting stronger. So go get yours now.
Love that. Yes. It is cool to own Speed Street merch. It is high quality merch as well. T-shirts, hoodie, all that stuff. We'll hopefully have a couple more Connor Daly merch items as well. But even if you stop by the IndyCar merch shops and you get the jerseys that are there, I appreciate you doing that. I think they're cool jerseys, even though they're number 78 on the back of them. It still counts. It still counts. So we love that, and that helps me a lot. Because every dollar of support counts. I cannot even tell you how true that is. So we appreciate you folks. With that, let's get to the fantastic segment that we love so much, the Ricky Treadway Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week.
greatest event of its kind that's ever been run on.
Let's meet the drivers. Who will make up the field?
This week, we went to a race that is not as far back as we've been lately. We went to the 1970 Indianapolis 500. The 1970 Indianapolis 500 was, of course, won by Al Unser Sr., which is an amazing name. If you look at this race, too, you see so many names that you know. There are no random Indy 500 drivers, really, in this race. A couple that we've used before, but we found one that we have not used before. And this one's going to be a good one. So the 32nd place finisher was Greg Weld. Greg Weld finished 32nd. Greg Weld was an American race car driver and later a businessman who founded an automotive aftermarket parts manufacturer that carries his name. Weld won the 1963 Knoxville Nationals, the premier event in sprint car racing. Weld raced in the USAC Championship Car Series from 1965 to 72. The 1970 Indianapolis 500, obviously. Weld also founded Weld Wheel Industries, a firm manufacturing forged alloy wheels for various vehicles, including race cars, and was an active sponsor of both race cars and series, including USAC. So that's cool. Let's go to, okay, how many Indy 500s? Oh, Greg Weld had quite an interesting Indy 500 history. So 1965, he failed the rookie test. It says on Wikipedia, which that's wild. 1966, qualifying crash. 1967, qualifying crash. 1968, failed to qualify. So this guy spent years just trying to make the race.
Just wanted to get there.
Yeah, he only made one. He made it in 1970. He started 28th, finished 32nd, then tried to come back in 1971, failed to qualify. And then in 1973, he crashed in practice. So what a run for Greg, just trying to make the race. That is wild.
Sometimes it's what it takes.
Like that. Yeah.
You just got to get there at the end of the day. And he did.
Absolutely. That's fascinating. I did not know that. What an interesting life. So anyway, Greg Weld. That's our Ricky Trailer Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week this week. I think that's great. All right.
Shout out to Greg.
Chase, next week we will probably once again have a fantastic preview of the race at the Thermal Club. I've seen the schedule for it, and it does look quite barren. It's like, oh no, it's just us there. Like it literally just is IndyCar. There's no Indy NXT, which is kind of a shame. But it could be fun. There's some talk about, interesting strategies, but we'll save it for the preview next week. So not sure who we'll have on the show next week, but someone to preview Thermal, someone to talk about what we're going to see coming up. We're not far from IndyCar racing. We're going to get there soon. So appreciate you folks for listening, and follow us on all the channels, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and just, you know what? We appreciate it. It really does mean a lot. We'll see you next week on Speed Stream. Hey everyone, Connor Daly here. Please leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it, and also subscribe to the channel as well. That would be very helpful. Be a friend, tell a friend. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll see you on the next episode of Speed Street.